Hey friends, it's Walkthrough Wednesday, Flip Edition. We've got some real estate nuggets for you, design information, the works.
And I have 4 beds, 2 baths. Let's go. When buying or selling real estate, curb appeal is always super important. But when you're looking at a flip, sometimes they skimp a little bit on that.
I would really love to extend this front porch. How great would that be? You know, I know you, John, you were like already revving up the chainsaw in your mind. Take down a few of those trees so you can see the lake views across the street. A lot of times, if you are looking at potential flips to buy where the flip has already been completed, you might notice that the builders cut some corners a little bit because obviously they are investors. So they were looking to put the least amount in to reap the most rewards. So you might not see expansive decks or landscaping, but that's okay because here's where you can personalize. So John, you and I were talking about different options here. What do you think we could do?
Well, over on this side, you have the central air unit. You're not going to be able to move it. So you could do 3 options. You can either build the deck out around there, maybe put some tall grasses that'll flow when it's turned on, or stamped concrete patio.
I like that one.
Traditional concrete, probably not going to happen with a Kaylee, or a paver patio. I'd say the best benefit in the newest updated way, easy maintained, is stamped concrete. A house always tells a story, no matter if it's a flip or an existing home. And what we're doing here is trying to read where they were going. The builder, contractor, or flipper laid this out. I think it's actually in a pretty nice way, but
really
there's a couple things that we're trying to understand.
Okay, so first of all, we're missing the fridge. So we came in and we're like, okay, where would we put the fridge? This was the first thought, right?
And I think that's probably where they were thinking, because if you look at the outlet, it's all set up for a fridge.
But we also have an outlet right over here too, and there is this missing piece. And to me, this just seems like an odd space. Like, why didn't we keep going with the countertop and with another cabinet here underneath?
What I'm thinking is you have a floor vent right here, and it got him a little nervous. But all you had to do was run the cabinetry all the way over, open up the bottom of the cabinet, or right in the kick plate, you just put the vent right here. You actually don't even need to cut into the cabinet because then the air and heat would go in there. But they could have run that over, then they're committing to put the fridge here. I would take advantage though, and put the fridge here. What I'm going to let you guys know though is because this outlet is above, over on this side of the countertop, you're probably going to have to run an outlet through this wall. It's not that hard, just one stud over.
That's right. And then aesthetically, you keep your eye line, you know, open and enjoying this beautiful space rather than blocking it with a massive fridge. And something that we see in a lot of flips that we're either previewing or we help sell is that everything is shiny and new. And you can get really distracted by that, right? I know I do. And you kind of peel back the layers. So what are some of the onion slices that we've peeled back that you found?
Well, there's one thing that you want to notice with these hoods. If you're putting it into your home or you're looking at one in a house like this, they don't always vent outside. You want to go outside and check to see if there's a vent. There's 2 options here. Either it's a true vent outside, which is the best option because it brings everything up and out of the house.
Especially
the other
with
one,
your cooking.
I don't cook, come on. The second one is a recycler. So what that does is it takes that bacon smeller grease, which she hates, and it's supposed to recycle the air and blow it out fresh and clean. Doesn't always happen. Another thing while we were in this vicinity is something bothered Kaylee. So
okay, so we know I'm all, you know, a little type A, but aesthetically, I think what might have been a better choice would be to take the backsplash all the way up to the ceiling. They didn't do that. That's something that you can fix easily, and it's such a small space that if this backsplash doesn't speak to you, it's not going to be a huge expense to put a different one in.
Right, and when you are bringing it all the way up, factor enough tile, extra tile, to either bring it all the way to the floor, because tile wants to sag because of the mastic that you're putting on, or use a wood trim behind the range, but you want to build an even grout line across from left to right, because if not, you can get this far in and then you can't fix it.
In flips or brand new homes, heck, even our house, we see a lot of builder grade lights. So these are the lights that you can find at your local home improvement shop. They come big bulk packages. This would be an example of maybe a lesser expensive light that doesn't potentially reflect your personality. It's an easy swap, you guys, and just because you're buying something a little bit more, it doesn't have to be that much more expensive to make it really personal to you and different than what everybody else has. But I'm the type who just picks out a light and says, here you go, can you put this up? You know that it goes a little bit deeper than that.
When you think you want to just replace the light, it is pretty much that easy to replace a light. But up top you have your can here, that's your covering of your box. If you take it down and your new light has a smaller circular form, you're going to see an outer ring of either a dirty ceiling, not in this case because it's brand new, but you either want to get one wider than that spot so you don't need to paint, or you're going to have to commit yourself to painting not only maybe the room that it's in, but if it's an open floor plan like this,
the entire
you got to go everywhere.
Okay, so we all know that gray is one of our favorite colors, so much so we named our son Gray. And you can see that the risers here are painted gray. You have to be really careful when you're painting stairs because, as you might be able to tell, there are some scuff marks, some dirt marks. It's going to happen no matter what, but we have some options for you if you want to avoid that.
I think as you're walking through here, white is always crisp and clean, and I think they thought about this when they painted these risers because they went with a gray. It's going to be a lot easier. White, number one choice probably, clean, beautiful, but commit to painting every 3 to 6 months, or definitely before you sell, because all of those kicking up the stairs are going to leave marks. Number two, you could stain the risers the same color as the treads. That's the easiest and less maintenance, but it really gives no flair.
Yes.
Option three.
I want to show a little personality, something I've been trying for in our house for a long time. He's not going for it, but maybe you will. A new design trend we're seeing quite often is ombre stairs. So what is ombre, you might ask? Say you love blue. You could start with like a navy blue up top and then use the little sample paints at Sherwin-Williams. You don't have to buy a whole gallon, even, you know, a quart.
Those little jars,
little jars of paint, and do each tread a different tone of that blue all the way down. That could really pack a punch in a space if you're looking to add personality. So we mentioned those lake views across the street. They're so beautiful, and the tendency can be to kind of go all in with that theme and do, you know, a beachy vibe, and you can kind of take it a little far. So I guess I would suggest something a little bit more subtle. You can do maybe the rattan fixtures, you know, kind of, rather than go with like a bright sea blue, you can maybe do a nice blue-green throughout. It definitely needs some color to jazz it up, but I'm more of a neutrals gal myself, and I don't know if you know this, but for 2019, we're going to be straying away from the grays and getting more into the beige. Do you remember our first house color?
What?
Yes, more
So
browns
I have to
and
paint
beige.
all those walls over?
We're redoing.
All right, so you're saying hold off on the fishnet and the oar. You don't want us to put it up on the design? Okay. One thing I'll mention when you are painting, especially in a new construction, don't skip the primer. They do say it's one coat, primer included. Take the time, put the extra primer on the wall, especially the ceiling. The flat base paint that you're going to put on the ceiling, if you don't prime it, you're always going to see those roller strokes, no matter how good you are.
I look over at John and he's always looking at the floor. What are you looking for?
I'm hoping that I can appreciate the work, and I can appreciate this work. The grout lines are perfect, they're thick, they're clean, love them. One thing that bothers me is this molding right here. It's a simple molding, but you could dress it up for $10 more, throw a quarter round along the base, throw a caulk line on there, and it would make the molding a little bit more richer.
I like that.
Another compliment that I have to give to the contractor that did this job is you can tell, like we said, cutting costs are splurging a little bit. If the windows come out from the bottom, slide down from the top, and also come out, that's not just so they're easier to clean. That's called a double hung window, and it's a little bit more expensive than a single hung, which only the bottom will move.
Okay, I love that. Now, all I can think about is how I would dress this window, and I have to tell you, I would, you look nice today.
I didn't know if you wanted me to dress it.
I would avoid blinds when you can. People at home are always, you know, sending us questions like, where would you do blinds? What do you think about the big, heavy drapes that match the sofa? No, please don't do that.
Plus, Kaylee doesn't like to use blinds. If you don't need them, don't use them.
Make sure your curtains go all the way to the floor. Not a large pool, but just dust that floor. You don't want something to hang a little bit up. They won't look custom.
You're looking for some more Nixon Pack nuggets? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram,
Or nixonpack.com.
and then don't forget, please like us, give us a thumbs up or two.
We are so grateful that you came along for this week's episode of Walkthrough Wednesday. I love this 4-bed, 2-bath, and look at this setting. Do you see the hay bales? It's like we planned this.
That's because you want cows.
It's very true. We can't wait to see you next week. Leave us a comment below. We want to know what you thought, and thank you guys so much for watching. We truly appreciate all of you. We'll see you on next week's Walkthrough Wednesday.